Dust motes and silence.
He sat, swallowed by the silence. Dust motes danced in the weak winter sunlight that spilled through the living room window. They looked like miniature stars swirling in the stillness. He hadn't found the energy to clean, not since... The thought, unfinished, echoed the emptiness inside him. He was hollowed out, a husk. His reflection in the dusty coffee table mocked him. Eyes, red-rimmed and shadowed with grief, stared back. He hadn't shaved in days. The face in the reflection seemed to belong to a stranger, someone lost and broken. How could the world keep spinning, the sun keep rising, when his world had shattered? He reached for the remote, the simple act and effort. The television flickered to life, the canned laughter grating on his raw nerves. He couldn't bear it, the noise, the pretense of normalcy. He clicked it off, plunging the room back into a silence that felt as heavy as a shroud. His gaze fell upon a small silver locket on the coffee table, glinting in the sunlight. His daughter's locket. He picked it up, the metal cold against his palm. He traced the delicate engraving with his thumb, a single word, forever.
A sob ripped through him, the sound raw and ragged.
He fumbled for his phone, the screen lighting up his tear-streaked face. He navigated to her voicemail, his thumb hovering over the play button. He hadn't been able to bring himself to delete it, to erase the last vestiges of her voice. He closed his eyes and pressed play.
Hey Dad, it's me. Just wanted to let you know I aced my history test. Call me back when you get a chance. Love you.
Her voice, bright and bubbly, filled the silence. He clutched the phone to his chest as if it were a lifeline. He would give anything to hear that voice again, to feel her arms around him, to tell her how proud he was of her. Guilt, sharp and piercing, stabbed at him. He should have answered her call. He'd been busy, caught up in work, and had promised himself he'd call her back later. Later never came. The weight of that regret, of all the unsaid words, threatened to crush him.
What if...
he whispered, the words catching in his throat. What if he'd answered that call? What if he'd told her he loved her more often? What if he'd been a better father? The questions swirled around him, a torment with no answers. He stumbled to his feet, the room tilting precariously. He needed to escape, to get away from the suffocating grief that permeated every corner of his home.
Ghosts in the kitchen. The kitchen was a battlefield of half-eaten meals and dirty dishes. I hadn't had the heart to clean. The sight of her favorite mug, perched precariously on the edge of the counter, too painful to bear. I reached for a glass, my hand trembling. I filled it with water, the coolness against my parched throat a small comfort. As I leaned against the counter, my gaze fell on a photograph held fast by a magnet on the refrigerator. My daughter, her face alight with laughter, stared back at me. She'd been baking that day, her face smeared with flour, her eyes sparkling with mischief. I remembered that day, the smell of baking cookies filling the house, her infectious laughter echoing through the rooms. Now the silence was deafening, the scent of her favorite vanilla candles a cruel reminder of what I'd lost. I'd become a recluse in my own home, the outside world a distant, unwelcome hum. The phone rang, unanswered. The doorbell remained unacknowledged. I couldn't bear to face anyone, to see the pity in their eyes, to hear the condolences that did nothing to ease my pain.
His sister had tried, her voice filled with concern as she left messages on his answering machine. His friends had called, their voices hesitant, unsure of what to say.
I couldn't bring myself to answer, to pretend that I was okay when my world had been ripped apart. I knew they worried, these ghosts of my former life, but I couldn't let them in, not yet. I needed time to navigate the labyrinth of my grief, to find a way to live with this gaping hole in my heart. I retreated back to the living room, drawn to the familiar scent of her lavender-scented blanket draped over the back of the couch. I picked it up, burying my face in the soft fabric, inhaling her fragrance, a phantom limb memory of her presence. The blanket still held her warmth, her scent, a tangible reminder of the love we shared. I wrapped myself in it, seeking solace in her absence. I knew I couldn't hide from the world forever, but for now I allowed myself this small comfort, this fragile shield against the pain.
Grief, he was learning, was a journey with no map, no destination. It was a treacherous landscape of jagged cliffs and treacherous currents. But even in the darkest depths of his despair, a flicker of hope remained. He would honor her memory by finding a way to live, to breathe, to love again. If you are struggling with the loss of a loved one, please know that you are not alone. Reach out to a friend, a family member, a therapist. There is no shame in seeking help. Healing takes time, but with support and love, it is possible to navigate the darkness and find a path towards the light.